This week, I'm thrilled to have my Wow, this is very difficult for me.
What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to Patrick's channel.
Not bad, pretty good.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yes.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I help young professionals master their money so they can build their best life. In this week's video, it's all about money and relationships.
And time again, we hear that the number one reason that couples get divorced or break up is because of money.
And I'm going to share with you my story about how I came clean to Basha about my bad money habits, 3 top tips on how you can stop fighting and start talking about money. And as always, at the end, what we're going to do is share with you our money system that we use to live in perfect harmony, right?
Yeah.
Let's get started. This week, I'm thrilled to have my beautiful fiance as a guest.
Hi, everyone. I'm Basha, and some might say that I'm Patrick's better half.
Easy killer, this is my YouTube channel. Now, I wasn't always good with my finances, so I thought I would start by sharing the story about how I came clean about my bad money habits to Basha. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We were getting ready for one of my close friends' wedding, and Basha mentioned stopping by the bank to get cash out to give as a gift. It was really close to the end of the month and only a few days away from payday, and I didn't have enough cash in my account to cover the gift.
So I just said, dip into your savings, and when payday comes, replace it right away. And then you responded with, I don't have savings. I was pretty taken aback.
I ended up borrowing £150 from Basha to give as a wedding gift, and to this day, it still remains the single most embarrassing experience of my life. However, it was the catalyst that got us sort of opening up and talking about money.
That's right, and I think it was a very awkward situation for the both of us. We had just started dating, we had just moved in together, and to be honest, I had never really suspected any money problems, so it all did come as a bit of a surprise. Since then, we've talked a lot about money, we've improved our habits, and we've definitely gotten on the same page. This has no doubt strengthened our relationship.
Now, there's a lot of reasons why couples break up or argue over money. Either one has a lot of debt, or they can't agree how to spend the money, constantly going over budget, insanely expensive weddings, or just they don't have enough money for those unexpected surprises.
This all comes down to a lack of communication about your money priorities, so we cannot stress enough. Talk to your partner about money. Do it now.
And that leads us perfectly into tip number 1, which is get the conversation started. Now, I appreciate this is much easier said than done, and I know you had a difficult time getting the conversation going after the wedding incident.
Absolutely. So after the wedding incident, we kind of just left it, and we hadn't talked about it for weeks. And to be honest, it was starting to eat away at me, and I began thinking like, oh my God, he has a gambling problem or something. I was getting a bit scared, and I also got that feeling from you that you were just not comfortable talking about it, which made it so much harder for me to start that conversation.
So how exactly did you start the conversation with me?
You had your guard up, so I had to come up with a way to bring up the subject, but without actually bringing it up. So I started asking you about your goals, what you wanted to achieve, and I brought mine up. My biggest goal has always been financial independence, and I've always wanted to work for myself. So this got us talking about how we were going to achieve wealth together, and that's really when you began to open up to me, and you told me that you had student and credit card debt that was holding you back.
One of the best ways to get the conversation started is to make it informal. You know, share a podcast that you listen to, or recommend a finance book or a finance blog you found interesting which you can share, or just do a conversation around a walk where you share your financial goals. It doesn't have to be so formal as laying out all your bank accounts on the kitchen table. That's something you can progress to in the future.
The goal is to fold money talk into everyday conversation. Make it as normal as, hey, what's for dinner? As opposed to having this big elephant in the room that just no one wants to discuss. As with anything in life, the more you talk about it, the easier it's gonna become.
The second tip is to learn each other's money origin story. You might be thinking, well, what the does that mean? And what I mean by money origin story is learn your partner's approach to money or how they learned it growing up. What we witness our parents do and our friends do with money early on in our life can often have a big impact on how we handle money as adults. You either mirror that behavior or sometimes you do the complete opposite.
and when you learn your partner's money origin story, it helps you to become more empathetic to the way that they approach money, which might be wildly different from yours. For example, I was a natural born saver. I always had a plan. I loved to save my money. I opened up a retirement saving plan quite early. So it was just something that I did.
Whereas I was the opposite. I was a natural born spender, and I was lived for the moment. I developed that habit in my college years because I never wanted to miss out on anything.
And this was helpful to understand because when we started discussing money, it became a lot more clear to me about his habits and as well as understanding why he had debt.
And the money origin story will also shed light on how you communicate about money. So in my household, finances weren't something that was really openly discussed very much.
Right, whereas in my household, my dad would print out like monthly charts of our spending, lay it out on the kitchen table, and we'd all have to discuss how we could do better. So talking about money over dinner was just something I grew up doing.
And tip number 3 is to set financial goals together. Money is a resource or a tool that you both use to construct a life together, so it's super important that you be on the same page.
It's like building your dream home, but using 2 different sets of blueprints. Obviously, this isn't gonna work, and if you reluctantly agree to use your partner's blueprints, it's gonna lead to resentment and it's gonna lead to arguments.
Another way to think about it is it's like driving towards a fork in the road, and if you both have wildly different financial goals, you'll drift apart over time.
Okay, yeah, your analogy is way better.
Thanks. One thing you can do at the start of each year is write down 1 to 3 big financial goals that you each have, and the motivation or the reason why you have those goals, and finally the time frame in when you like to achieve them. If all your goals match up, great. You can start creating a savings plan that will allow you to achieve those goals together.
So for goals that are aligned, it's pretty straightforward, but what happens if you have different goals?
That's a result in itself, really, because it'll highlight what your partner's priorities are and how they differ from yours. This transparency will give you the opportunity to start a conversation and listen to what's most important to your partner. It's also an opportunity where you can actually learn to compromise and maybe find a way to each work together to achieve your individual financial goals. So I promised at the start that I'd share the system that we use to manage money, so Basha's gonna break it down for you.
So firstly, we each have our own bank account. Our income sits in our own bank account. We also keep our savings separate and our investments separate. This ensures that we stay independent. However, we do have a joint bank account. Each month, we transfer the exact same amount of money into this joint bank account. This money is used to pay rent, utilities, groceries, and also if we go out for dinner or grab a coffee or a drink, that way we're splitting all of our joint expenses 50-50 and we avoid those awkward conversations of who's gonna pick up the bill this time.
The key is that we each have our own bank accounts. So after we've transferred money to the joint account, what's left in our own personal account is ours to spend really how we like.
Right, and this kind of gives us a sense of independence. We also don't have to worry about feeling guilty about any purchases that we want to make for ourselves.
Basha wants to go and spend 500 pounds at the spa. I have no issue with that because it's not coming out of my money.
Right, and if Patrick goes and blows 1,000 pounds on a football game somewhere in Europe, I mean, that's not how I would spend my money, but...
This makes life super easy for us because we don't need to ask permission or criticize how the other person spends their own money. But having joint goals is crucial and it's what keeps us together and accountable. I hope you guys found those tips useful, and if you want to learn how to optimize your money, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll be dropping videos every single week showing you how to rethink your money to improve every area of your life. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Bye!